It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Authority is not granted, it is seized. The court of life is a battlefield where hesitation is punished and decisive presence is rewarded. Every room you walk into is an arena, every conversation a duel, every silence an opening that others will exploit if you fail to occupy it. The stakes are not abstract. When you do not command fear and respect, rivals fill the vacuum and you are slowly diminished until your place is erased. History shows this mercilessly. Leaders who allowed weakness to linger lost everything. A monarch who delayed decisive action invited rebellion. A general who hesitated at the critical moment saw armies collapse. The lesson is constant. If you do not hold the throne, another will take it. Authority abhors a vacuum. When you step back, others step forward, and their shadow grows while yours fades. In the modern arena, the battlefield is everywhere. It is the boardroom where colleagues test your resolve, the digital stage where narratives spread faster than you can defend them. The social circle where silence is read as surrender. Social media thrives on the vacuum of authority. Those who speak with clarity and certainty dominate, while the hesitant vanish into noise. At work, the same principle rules. A leader who does not control the frame of discussion loses it to the boldest voice in the room, whether that voice is competent or not. This is why respect and fear remain the primal currencies of survival. Respect without boundaries dissolves into neglect. Fear without balance becomes tyranny. Authority lies in commanding both, showing that you are calm enough to listen, but strong enough to end disputes with finality. When someone challenges you publicly, do not meet their aggression with noise. Meet it with composure. Lower your voice, steady your gaze, and answer with clarity. The opponent will expect defense and noise. What disarms them is your unshaken command. You prove that their storm cannot rattle your fortress. In practice, you must train to see every encounter as a test of perception. Do not let insecurity leak into your posture or tone. Weak. I think maybe this could work. Strong. This is the way forward. Weak. Sorry, just my opinion. Strong. Here is the decision. Every phrase either fortifies your throne or chips away at it. The predator instinct is not about cruelty, it is about survival. The lion does not ask permission to enter the court. It arrives, and all eyes turn. Carry yourself with the same inevitability. Take space, claim authority, and let others adapt to your presence rather than the reverse. Every moment you delay is another moment someone else expands their power at your expense. Walk into the world with this single truth. Authority is never given, only taken. Authority begins not with outward control, but with inner dominion. The throne you must seize first is the one inside your own mind. If you cannot rule your thoughts, you will be ruled by them. History shows this truth again and again. Marcus Aurelius, who governed one of the greatest empires, began each day reminding himself that his first task was to discipline his own mind before addressing the affairs of Rome. Machiavelli observed the same principle from another angle. Rulers who failed to master their inner court became hostages to fortune, swayed by fear, greed, or the opinions of others. Authority that is not grounded within collapses at the first pressure from outside. Imagine your mind as a throne room. At its center sits the sovereign, your conscious command. Around you gather the courtiers of thought, ambition, fear, envy, hope. Some are loyal advisors, others are schemers plotting to seize influence. Doubt whispers in one corner, urging hesitation. Anxiety stands at the door, demanding your attention with fabricated emergencies. Craving pushes forward, begging for indulgence. If you allow these voices to shout over one another, you lose control of the council. and the throne becomes ceremonial. But when you silence disorder and demand order, you project strength. Authority begins when you decide which voices are permitted to speak and which must be dismissed. The usurpers are subtle. Doubt disguises itself as caution. Anxiety presents itself as responsibility. External validation promises approval, but secretly chains you to the crowd. These forces steal your sovereignty when left unchallenged. The remedy is discipline of the inner court. You must sit as judge and ruler over your own impulses. When fear presses in, you name it as fear rather than mistaking it for wisdom. When the craving for validation arises, you remind yourself that a sovereign who needs the applause of subjects is no sovereign at all. A practical example is disagreement in the workplace. Someone challenges your idea in a meeting. If you allow the inner usurpers to rule, anxiety seizes the throne, and you retreat, or anger leaps forward, and you overreact. Both responses weaken authority. The sovereign response is different. You steady your breath, maintain composure, and reply with calm certainty. Weak: I'm not sure, but maybe this could still work. Strong: I hear your point. Here is why this approach still serves the goal. You neither collapse nor attack. You command. Others register not just your words, but your poise. Visualization strengthens this discipline. Picture yourself each morning entering your own throne room. The hall is vast, banners hanging high, light striking the seat of command. You walk forward, sit on the throne, and from that moment, your thoughts line up as subjects awaiting judgment. You hear them, weigh them, and dismiss or accept them with final authority. This coronation is symbolic but powerful. It reminds you daily that before you rule any external realm, career, relationships, reputation, you must first rule the kingdom within. Authority projected outward is only as strong as the authority established inward. A fractured mind cannot build respect, but a disciplined one radiates command without words. Your task is clear. Master the throne of thought. Silence the usurpers, and conduct your mind as a sovereign conducts a council of state. Carry that discipline into every interaction, and you will find others responding not to noise or uncertainty, but to the unmistakable presence of command. Rule the mind, and the world will follow. Every day is a battlefield, and your first hours decide your position. Enter the day without strategy, and you will already be flanked. Seize the morning, and you dictate the terms of engagement before anyone else moves a piece. Generals understood this long before the modern world. Armies were often stirred before dawn because the leader needed clarity before soldiers advanced. A commander who rose early saw the terrain, issued orders, and positioned troops while rivals were still scattered. The same principle applies to you. If you wait until the world invades your attention, you are already reacting instead of ruling. Your morning is the pre-dawn strategy session of your life. Even Marcus Aurelius wrote of beginning the day by readying his mind against distraction, reminding himself of the type of people he would meet and the discipline required to remain firm. Machiavelli himself argued that fortune favors those who act with boldness rather than those who hesitate. To win the day, your first act must be deliberate. Rising early is not about novelty or trend, it is about command. When you wake with intent, you declare that your time is sovereign. Rituals in the morning serve as signals of power. A flag raised over the fortress shows that authority is awake and alert. The way you begin signals to yourself and others what kind of leader you are. Training your body, even briefly, forges the link between strength and discipline. Writing down objectives is the drawing of a battle map. Practicing silence before the flood of voices online is the same as clearing the court before issuing royal orders. Each ritual is not a small habit, but a military signal. Weak: I'll try to get through today. Strong: Here are the 3 decisive moves I will make. Weak. Let's see how the day goes. Strong. I will control the field before noon. Language frames your mind. Command begins with words as much as actions. Guarding the defensive line is your 3rd task. In older times, generals placed sentries on the outer wall because one breach meant collapse of the fortress. Today, your sentries are the boundaries you draw against digital invasion. Notifications, endless feeds, and trivial demands are not harmless. They are enemy scouts probing for weakness. The moment you reach for your phone to scroll aimlessly, you surrender the gate. You must treat these intrusions as hostile. Establish non-negotiable rules. No screens before your strategy is set. No emails before your priorities are written. Defend the walls or the enemy marches straight to your throne. Imagine the difference between 2 leaders. One wakes late, checks messages instantly, reacts to demands, and by midday is drained. The other rises early, sharpens the mind in silence, chooses the priorities of battle, and meets the world already fortified. When conflict appears, a colleague questions their direction in the morning meeting. The first leader stumbles, shifting defensively. The second steadies the room with composure and clear words because their position was secured before they stepped into the fray. This contrast is not an accident, it is the result of morning strategy. The battlefield does not forgive hesitation. Each morning you either claim the high ground or you fight uphill all day. Discipline at dawn may seem small, but its signal is vast. You have taken command before fortune and rivals move against you. Do not wait. Rise, signal, defend. Begin each day like a general surveying the field, not a soldier waiting for orders. Win the morning, and you win the war. Silence is not weakness. Silence is force. The greatest rulers and strategists understood that words can dilute presence, but restraint sharpens it. In the courts of Europe, princes often sat in measured stillness, letting courtiers reveal themselves while they revealed nothing. In negotiations, silence unsettled rivals more than threats ever could. A pause, when wielded deliberately, can bend the rhythm of the room to your favor. You must learn to turn silence into a weapon that commands respect and plants unease in those who would challenge you. Authority is amplified when you are not in a hurry to explain yourself. Machiavelli noted that men judge more by the eye than the hand, and silence is one of the most striking things the eye perceives. A leader who speaks less but moves with certainty projects gravity. History shows that monarchs and generals who left questions unanswered often held more sway than those who tried to justify every action. In modern times, CEOs and negotiators use the same principle: a pause after a demand, a quiet gaze instead of immediate reply. These are maneuvers that make others feel exposed. People rush to fill silence with concessions, admissions, or nervous explanations. You, by holding still, create the impression of depth and certainty. Today, silence remains a fortress. In the chaos of constant messaging and instant responses, the person who withholds reaction builds intrigue and authority. Strategic non-response in digital spaces unsettles opponents. When a post intended to provoke you goes unanswered, the author is left hanging in the void, their attempt at dominance collapsing under its own weight. In a negotiation, you can make an offer, then remain silent. The pause forces the other side to question themselves, often speaking further than they intended. In everyday disputes, refusing to be baited into noise can end conflict before it begins. Silence is not withdrawal, it is deliberate positioning. Picture yourself within a citadel of stillness. The walls are high, the gates unbroken, and you stand calm within. Outside, distractions hammer at the gates. Demands for immediate replies, arguments seeking to drag you down, the noise of constant comparison. Inside the fortress, you are untouched. Stillness here is not passive. It is active defense. By remaining silent, you control what enters and what leaves. You choose when the gates open, and by doing so, you dictate the terms of battle. Consider a micro-example. A colleague challenges your plan in a meeting with sharp words. Most people react instantly, rushing to defend themselves. You remain composed, allowing the silence to expand. Their words echo awkwardly as the room grows tense. Then you speak, measured and precise. Weak. I don't think that's fair. Strong. Here is why this approach serves the larger objective. Your restraint demonstrates authority, and your opponent's impulsiveness exposes their insecurity. Others notice who truly commands the moment. To use stillness effectively, you must train it. Begin with your daily conversations. Resist the impulse to fill every pause. Breathe before answering. Let silence work for you. On social media, avoid reacting to every provocation. Each ignored attempt increases your aura of strength. In leadership, choose your moments carefully, and when you do speak, let it be decisive. The paradox is that by saying less, you make each word heavier, each gesture sharper. Silence is not emptiness. It is a signal. It tells the world you are not easily moved, not easily baited, not easily read. Those who cannot tolerate silence reveal their weakness. Those who master it reveal their command. Cultivate this fortress within yourself until others sense it the moment you enter a room. Your silence is your sword. Authority demands pruning. Strength is not just what you add, but what you remove. Every empire that endured understood this. Leaders from ancient Rome to Renaissance courts knew that power leaks when weak links remain in place. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, not simply by advancing, but by discarding loyalty tests he no longer trusted. In Florence, factions that resisted consolidation were cut away, or they became daggers in the dark. Machiavelli observed closely that a ruler cannot afford divided loyalties. The same applies to you. If you tolerate habits, alliances, or narratives that weaken you, your authority erodes until it collapses. The first task is a personal audit. Survey your life as if it were a kingdom under your rule. Which relationships strengthen your command, and which drain your energy with constant demands? Which behaviors increase your stature, and which reduce it to distraction and weakness? A ruler who does not examine the court is surrounded by hidden enemies. Doubt and hesitation thrive in company that encourages mediocrity. Low-status behaviors, apologies for existing, excuses that mask inaction, gossip that corrodes, must be named for what they are: weakness. Authority grows only when you confront them directly. Modern power is not won by violence, but by clarity. You cut not with steel, but with decision. The sword of clarity must be drawn daily. Imagine distractions lined before you as condemned prisoners, each wasted hour on trivial scrolling, each compromise made out of fear, each indulgence that saps strength. They kneel at the block. You, as sovereign, hold the blade. When you strike, you do not destroy for cruelty's sake. You execute what undermines you so that your rule stands firm. This mental ritual is not fantasy, it is practice. Each choice to eliminate weakness is an act of consolidation. Consider a workplace example. A colleague constantly undermines your ideas in subtle ways. If you respond with irritation, you feed the conflict and lower your position. If you ignore it endlessly, you signal that your throne is open to challenge. The sovereign approach is deliberate. You acknowledge the behavior directly, but without venom. Weak. I don't like how you treat me. Strong. If we are aligned on results, undermining is wasted energy. Let's keep the focus on outcomes. With this, you cut the behavior at the root while keeping composure. Others see the difference. You did not flail with anger or shrink into silence. You eliminated distraction with precision. This principle extends to your environment. If your phone is a constant invader, set rules that exile it from your first and last hour of the day. If your workspace is cluttered, clear it until only what signals authority remains. If your schedule is bloated with obligations that do not serve your larger purpose, strike them from the calendar. Every cut sharpens your presence. History offers brutal reminders of what happens when weak links are spared. Monarchs, who hesitated to remove disloyal advisors, were overthrown by those very men. Generals who allowed fractured chains of command lost battles to smaller but more disciplined forces. In daily life, the scale is smaller but the principle is the same. Tolerate weakness and it multiplies, eliminate it, and your authority consolidates. This act of pruning is not cruelty, it is self-respect. You are not erasing people but defining boundaries. You are not erasing pleasure but stripping away indulgence that clouds judgment. Authority requires the strength to say no, the clarity to cut ties, and the discipline to sharpen the throne on which you sit. Each elimination is a declaration: I rule this domain, and nothing unworthy will share it. Carry this with ritual force. Each morning, imagine yourself drawing the sword of clarity. Name one weakness, one distraction, one draining tie, and cut it. Let the execution ground of your mind grow clear. Over time, only loyalty, discipline, and strength remain within your walls. Cut weakness, crown strength. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn how not to be good and use that knowledge as necessity demands. What he meant was simple: the mask you present to the world matters as much as the strategy you keep hidden. Authority is not only what you are, it is what others see. A sovereign under siege cannot afford to show cracks, and so the mask of command becomes armor. To project controlled power, you must understand appearance as a tool, not a deception. It is the signal that stabilizes allies, unsettles rivals, and convinces the uncertain to follow. History is filled with rulers who understood this principle. Machiavelli advised that a prince should appear merciful, faithful, humane, and religious, even if in reality he acted with cold calculation. The lesson was not to lie endlessly, but to manage perception. Strength must be visible, even when you are struggling. When monarchs held court during famine or war, they often dressed more grandly, spoke more firmly, and moved with ceremony, because they knew that weakness displayed in public was weakness multiplied in private. This was not vanity, it was survival. The mask became a shield. Modern authority requires the same mask, though the form has changed. Today, your body language is often the first signal. Shoulders back, chin level, voice steady. These are not trivial gestures, but flags that tell others you are in control. A slouched figure, darting eyes, or a hesitant tone invite others to test you. Online, your digital presence is the new throne room. A leader who constantly posts reactive statements appears insecure, while one who communicates with restraint and clarity projects strength. The mask here is not falsehood, it is boundary. You choose what to reveal, what to withhold, and how to frame your narrative. Consider an interaction in a tense meeting. A peer interrupts and dismisses your point. Most people either snap defensively or retreat into silence. Both lose command. The mask of command means holding posture, lowering your pace, and answering firmly without heat. Weak, that's not fair. I was just explaining. Strong, let me finish. This point matters for the outcome we all share. The difference is not in the data, but in the delivery. By wearing the mask, you hold authority even as you are challenged. The ceremonial donning of the mask can be powerful as a daily ritual. Each morning, picture yourself preparing for battle. You stand before the mirror, as if before a court. The mask is not a disguise, it is the outer form of your inner command. You put it on deliberately, straightening posture, aligning tone, rehearsing clarity. When you step out into the day, you carry not raw nerves, but a chosen presence. This visualization anchors authority in your body and mind until it becomes second nature. Authority collapses when you expose every crack and every doubt. Command endures when you manage what others see without losing sight of your true strategy. You are not asked to become false, only to project the qualities that sustain trust and deter challenge. Others need to believe that the sovereign stands unshaken, and your mask delivers that signal. The mask of command is not deceit. It is discipline. It is the conscious choice to lead with strength, even when storms rage inside. Wear it, not as pretense, but as protection. Authority radiates from those who understand that perception shapes power as much as reality. Your mask is your crown. Authority demands an executioner inside. Without it, timidity grows unchecked, hesitation takes root, and weakness sharpens its blade against you. Every sovereign who endured understood this principle. Power is not preserved by indulgence, but by decisive elimination of what undermines command. The most dangerous enemy is not outside the fortress walls, but inside your mind, disguised as hesitation, whispering sabotage at the moment you need clarity. Self-sabotage behaves like a spy. It watches for openings, waits until the stakes are high, and then plants seeds of doubt that slow your advance. You plan to speak with conviction, but the spy whispers, "What if you are wrong?" You prepare to act boldly, but the spy murmurs, "Maybe tomorrow instead." Each pause, each retreat is a dagger slipped between your ribs by an enemy you allowed into your own court. Authority cannot survive while this spy roams free. The remedy is to appoint an assassin within, an inner figure tasked with killing weakness before weakness kills you. History offers brutal clarity here. Cesare Borgia, observed by Machiavelli, secured his power in part through ruthless use of agents who carried out acts he could not publicly perform. By delegating harsh measures to trusted men, he protected his own authority while ensuring threats were removed. Ottoman sultans relied on executioners to prevent disloyal factions from fermenting rebellion. Elizabeth I maintained a spy network that rooted out treachery before it reached her throne. The lesson is consistent. Survival requires a part of the system dedicated to cutting weakness at the root. You must mirror this principle internally. The inner assassin is not cruel, but it is merciless. Its role is not to torment, but to execute hesitation with precision. Picture a moment of self-doubt rising inside you before a critical presentation. The spy whispers, "Lower your voice, soften your words, retreat a little." This is the moment for the assassin. You visualize the figure stepping forward, calm, silent and efficient, and striking down that thought before it sabotages your authority. In this ritual, weakness does not linger. It is cut away the instant it emerges. Over time, the assassin's work becomes instinctive. You no longer entertain doubt long enough for it to spread. In practice, this discipline means you treat hesitation as an intruder, not as a companion. Weak, "I'll try to say something if the chance comes." Strong, "I will make my point with clarity when the moment arrives." Weak, "Maybe I should wait until conditions are perfect." Strong, "I move now because delay is surrender." The assassin within enforces these shifts. It cuts off the language of timidity and replaces it with words of command. Picture a disagreement in a meeting. Someone challenges your direction with pointed skepticism. Without the assassin, you might freeze, over-explain, or avoid confrontation. With it, you hold posture, allow silence, then respond with concise authority. Your concern is noted, but this course serves the goal. The inner assassin executed the urge to defend frantically or apologize for leadership. What remains is decisive command. This visualization is more than metaphor. Each time you practice it, you sharpen a reflex, see weakness, eliminate it, move forward. Just as a ruler delegates harsh acts to protect the throne, you delegate the killing of hesitation to this inner figure. It does the necessary work quickly, leaving you free to lead without internal rebellion. The world respects authority that appears unshaken. To reach that state, you must first secure the fortress within. The spy of self-sabotage cannot be reasoned with, only removed. Build your assassin, trust it, and let it act when the instant weakness rises. Without it, you will be ruled by doubt. With it, you will walk as sovereign. Kill hesitation before it kills you. Every leader feeds one wolf or another. Inside you are two forces, the wolf of command and the wolf of submission. The one you nourish grows stronger and begins to shape how the world treats you. Authority is not built on occasional bursts of confidence, but on the daily cultivation of energy that radiates dominance without cruelty. People feel this energy long before they hear your words. A room senses whether you are the one who commands or the one who follows. To project authority that earns both respect and fear, you must feed the wolf that commands. Dominant energy is not reckless aggression. It is a disciplined presence. The science of posture shows that open stance and grounded breathing change not only how others see you, but how you feel within yourself. Leaders who shrink physically often shrink psychologically. Those who claim space signal certainty. This is why military officers are trained to stand in precise form, and why athletes preparing for competition adopt expansive gestures. It is not performance, it is priming. You must train yourself to move with the same deliberation. When you walk into a room, let your steps be steady, your gaze anchored, your shoulders aligned. These are not trivial details. They are signals to the court that the sovereign has entered. History gives countless examples of leaders who cultivated this energy offstage. Warrior kings trained relentlessly, even when no eyes were on them. Alexander drilled daily with his soldiers to embody the very strength he demanded. Roman commanders walked their camps at dawn, radiating composure and readiness. In modern times, CEOs known for their commanding presence practice routines that sharpen their mental and physical edge before they step into negotiations. Authority is never an accident. It is rehearsed through ritual until it becomes natural. Feeding the wolf is also about what you consume mentally, physically, emotionally. If you nourish yourself on trivial entertainment, gossip, and distraction, you are feeding the weaker animal that retreats when tested. If you train your body, read material that sharpens thought, and surround yourself with challenges, you are feeding the wolf that commands. Authority grows from what you choose to allow into your system. Guard it as a general guards the food supply of an army. Imagine this ritual before a critical event. You close your eyes and picture the wolf inside. One is timid, hesitant, eager to please. The other is calm, powerful, ready to strike if challenged. Each choice you make in that moment is a morsel of food, placed before one wolf or the other. Stand tall and breathe deeply. You feed the wolf of command, doubt yourself and slouch. You feed the wolf of submission. This visualization sharpens discipline. It reminds you that energy is not random, but cultivated. Consider a disagreement. A colleague questions your decision sharply. If you are feeding the weaker wolf, you shrink. defend endlessly and hope to appease. If you are feeding the commanding wolf, you remain composed and deliver clarity. Weak. Maybe you're right, I hadn't thought of that. Strong. I understand your view, but this direction serves the larger objective. Your tone remains even. Your posture solid. Others see not hostility but steady dominance. The moment belongs to you. Daily, you must make the choice. Train your body with discipline. Guard your mind from weak consumption. Practice postures that claim space. Visualize the wolf you want to feed. Over time, authority ceases to be performance and becomes presence. People will feel it in your silence, in your gaze, in the way you occupy a room. The throne is not given, it is fed. Every bite, every choice, every ritual strengthens one wolf or the other. Feed wisely, because the wolf you nurture will rule your life. Feed the wolf that commands. Power is positional. Authority is rarely about the loudest voice in the room. It belongs to the one who sees 3 moves ahead. Machiavelli advised that fortune favors those who act boldly, but he also warned that boldness without foresight leads to ruin. The wise leader positions themselves like a chess master, not reacting piece by piece, but shaping the board so rivals are cornered before they even realize the trap. Strategic depth is the art of anticipating. A ruler who waits until enemies gather at the gates has already lost the initiative. In The Prince, Machiavelli described how foresight allowed rulers to prevent disorder rather than attempting to cure it after it had grown dangerous. The lesson applies today with equal force. Authority is not only the ability to act, it is the ability to foresee, prepare, and shape outcomes long before conflict erupts. A commander places defenses before the battle. A strategist plants alliances before they are needed. The sovereign who thinks ahead radiates inevitability. In the modern arena, the chessboard of life is not carved from wood, but from opportunity, reputation, and time. Careers are won by those who see the long game while others scramble over short-term moves. The employee who anticipates the future needs of their organization and prepares solutions before being asked becomes indispensable. Politicians who understand the emotional rhythm of their societies position themselves before tides shift. Online, brands that foresee the direction of attention dominate platforms, while competitors chase after them. Authority expands when you stop reacting and start positioning. Your life is a living chessboard. Each day, you place pieces, your time, your energy, your allies on squares that either strengthen or weaken your position. Waste hours in distraction and you have sacrificed pawns for nothing. Spend energy on those who do not respect your boundaries and you have exposed your flank. Invest time in building skill, cultivating loyal allies, and protecting your reputation, and you have advanced your pieces toward inevitable control of the board. Every move either narrows or expands your future options. Authority grows when you learn to recognize patterns, predict consequences, and place pieces with intent. Visualization sharpens this skill. Imagine yourself standing over a vast chessboard where each square represents a part of your life. Your health is one piece, your career another, your reputation a powerful queen. Rivals and distractions are also on the board, testing your defenses. Each move you make today shifts the balance tomorrow. If you treat the board as random, you are checkmated by forces you ignored. If you treat the board as strategic, you create positions where your authority expands almost automatically. Consider a micro-example. In a meeting, a colleague challenges your proposal. Without foresight, you scramble, defend nervously, and risk losing the room. With foresight, you anticipated the objection earlier. You already prepared evidence and aligned allies to support your position. When the challenge comes, you respond calmly, That concern was considered, and here is why this path serves the outcome. The board shifts in your favor. Your rival feels cornered, not because you outshouted them, but because you placed your pieces long before they made their move. Authority is reinforced, not by luck, but by pattern recognition. Study how rivals operate. Notice their habits, their triggers, their repeated mistakes. In chess, every opponent reveals preference. Some attack quickly, others defend passively. Life is no different. Anticipate patterns, and you move before they do. This does not mean living in fear or overthinking every detail. It means training your eye to see the board beyond the current move. Your task is clear. Do not waste moves. Do not let rivals dictate the pace. Place your pieces deliberately, guard your king, your inner authority, and advance your queen, your reputation with care. Treat every day as part of the larger match. When others live from square to square, you will already be 5 moves ahead. Win by positioning, not by chance. Fear and respect only endure when your will is unshakable. Authority built on charm alone cracks under pressure, but authority forged through ordeal becomes immovable. Throughout history, leaders have understood that discipline is not optional, it is the bedrock of power. The Spartans subjected their youth to the agoge, a system designed to harden body and mind through deprivation, endurance, and trial. Roman legions trained relentlessly, carrying heavy packs, marching for hours, and drilling until discipline replaced hesitation. In the modern world, elite special forces undergo rituals of hardship that strip away comfort until only resilience remains. These ordeals exist because leaders know that without an iron will, all other strategies collapse. You may not walk the plains of Sparta or march with Rome, but the principle is timeless. Authority requires daily ordeals that forge resolve. The trials you set for yourself need not be grand, but they must be consistent. Cold exposure teaches the body to submit to command rather than craving ease. Silence drills sharpen composure against distraction. Practicing public speaking forces you to confront the fear of judgment until you command the room rather than shrink from it. These micro-disciplines are your training ground. Each small act of chosen discomfort tempers the will, making it unbreakable when true pressure arrives. The forge is an image worth holding. Picture your will as metal laid on the anvil. Every ordeal is the hammer strike. Each repetition of discipline shapes the steel, hardening it into something that cannot bend when tested. Without the hammer, the metal remains soft, easily warped by heat and pressure. With it, the steel becomes a weapon, a shield, and a foundation for command. Authority radiates from those who have submitted themselves to this process. You feel it in their presence, steady, immovable, calm even under fire. Modern examples prove this still. Leaders who dominate industries often speak of their private rituals of discipline, rising before dawn, training their bodies, scheduling their priorities with precision, practicing deliberate silence before meetings. These habits are not aesthetic, they are forging rituals. Each is a strike of the hammer, ensuring that when a crisis comes, their will does not fracture. The average person caves when comfort is removed. The leader who has rehearsed hardship does not. Consider a moment of disagreement. A colleague challenges you publicly, attempting to corner you. If your will has not been hardened, you react defensively, your voice rising as you scramble to justify yourself. But if your will has been forged, you remain composed. You pause, breathe, and reply evenly. I hear your view, but this direction aligns with our objective. The difference is not words alone, it is the steel behind them. The forged will prevent collapse, and others sense the strength immediately. To build this inner steel, set your ordeals deliberately. Do something each day that discomforts you in service of discipline. Stand in the cold shower until your breath steadies. Sit in silence longer than feels natural. Speak with conviction even when your voice trembles. Each act is another strike of the hammer. Over weeks and months, the steel will grow harder. This is not punishment but preparation, ensuring that when you face real conflict, hesitation has no power over you. Authority requires this iron ritual. Without it, respect is temporary and fear evaporates. With it, your presence carries weight beyond words. People follow those who endure. They respect those who do not break under pressure. They fear crossing someone who does not flinch in discomfort. Forge yourself daily, and you will embody authority that cannot be shaken. Strike the will until it becomes steel. Authority reaches its final seal when you become untouchable. Respect and fear flow toward you automatically, not because you demand them, but because your very presence signals that attack will fail. History shows that certain figures carried such an aura. Their enemies hesitated before striking, allies clung to their side, and crowds obeyed without needing persuasion. This was not luck, it was cultivated. Reputation, strategy, and the careful control of information built an armor stronger than steel. Think of leaders whose names alone deterred plots. Some Roman emperors, though constantly surrounded by intrigue, preserved power for decades because their reputations for decisiveness made rivals fear the consequences of rebellion. Generals across centuries marched into cities without resistance because their aura preceded them. Machiavelli observed that men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance, meaning that authority must be reinforced by fear of consequences, not by soft promises. Those who became untouchable understood that image is not vanity, it is weaponry. In the modern world, untouchability takes a different form, but rests on the same principle. Your reputation is a shield. If you are known for steadiness, others hesitate to test you. If your network is wide and loyal, rivals calculate the cost of crossing you and often retreat. If you control the flow of information about yourself, you limit the weapons others can use. Online, a person who overshares weakens their fortress. One who curates deliberately maintains the advantage. Authority today is a force field built from credibility, alliances, and selective disclosure. Visualize this state as a crown of untouchability. You enter the day, and an aura surrounds you. Invisible but undeniable. Words meant to wound bounce off, returning to those who spoke them. Distractions try to pull you down but slide away. Attacks are reflected back, not because you fought with noise, but because your field of authority absorbed the blow. This aura is not fantasy. It is the natural result of years of consistent discipline, reputation building, and boundaries that cannot be breached. Consider a disagreement in the workplace. A rival questions your plan, hoping to undermine you. If you are fragile, the room watches you scramble to defend yourself. If you are untouchable, the room watches something else. You're calm, you listen without flinch, acknowledge the challenge, and respond evenly. The objective remains clear, and this direction achieves it. The rival's words hang powerless. They underestimated the shield you have built. The authority you project makes escalation costly for them and effortless for you. Becoming untouchable is not arrogance, it is security. You cultivate it by guarding your reputation. As a king guards the treasury, you reinforce it by strengthening alliances that multiply your influence. You preserve it by withholding unnecessary detail, revealing only what fortifies your position. Over time, the combination creates an aura that precedes you. When you walk into a room, people feel the difference. When others speak your name, Respect and caution rise instinctively. Your task is to build this final seal through deliberate action. Do not squander credibility on trivial disputes. Do not allow your network to fracture from neglect. Do not give away information that weakens your position. Instead, build the shield piece by piece until no rival can pierce it. Authority then ceases to be an act and becomes your natural state. Power becomes untouchable when your presence is armor. Authority reaches its highest point when all the pieces you have built converge into one moment. The coronation of power. Everything before this has been preparation. The throne of the mind, the battles of the morning, the weapon of silence, the sword of elimination, the mask of command, the inner assassin, the wolf of dominance, the chessboard of foresight, the ritual of steel. Now you stand at the center of the hall, the crown before you. This is where the world decides if you are to be sovereign or subject, master or pawn. The stakes are absolute. If you falter here, all that has been built crumbles. If you hold firm, fear and respect will surround you as naturally as air. The integration ritual begins. March through each part as if you are walking through chambers in your own fortress. First, the inner throne. You command your mind, no longer a victim of scattered impulses, but the sovereign over every thought, doubt, envy, distraction. All kneel in silence. Then the battlefield of the morning. You rise with intent, and each dawn becomes proof that you move first, not as a pawn reacting, but as the general who sets the day's campaign. The chamber of silence comes next. You wear stillness as armor, letting opponents drown themselves in noise while you dictate the rhythm. Then the hall of elimination. Weak ties, self-sabotage, and low behaviors are gone, cut away by your sword of clarity. Authority grows sharper with every absence. You continue. The mask of command hangs in the next chamber. You do it without hesitation, not as deceit, but as chosen appearance. You project strength even in siege, becoming a signal of stability. Others rally too. Deeper in the fortress waits for the inner assassin. It stands ready, dagger drawn, to strike hesitation and timidity before they betray you. Then comes the wolf. You feed the predator of dominance daily, nourishing it with discipline and action, so it grows stronger than passivity and fear. In the next hall lies the chessboard, vast and endless, where your foresight positions pieces so rivals find themselves trapped without knowing how. Finally, the forge of will. You see your own steel hammered into shape by ordeal, every strike of discipline making you harder to break. These are not separate practices. Together they form the path that brought you here. Public recognition follows the ritual. When you carry yourself as sovereign, the perception of others shifts without you asking. The colleague who once tested you now measures words carefully. The rival who once challenged you thinks twice. Friends, allies, even strangers register it in posture, in voice, in the unspoken gravity you radiate. Respect becomes instinctive. Fear becomes natural. Authority no longer needs constant assertion, it sustains itself. But one final enemy remains, hidden within. This is the last saboteur, the whisper that tells you it may all collapse, that you are not ready, that authority is fragile. It is the ghost of self-doubt, the last shadow on the throne. To defeat it, you must look it in the eye, acknowledge it without fear. Then command it to kneel. You do not destroy it, you strip it of control. Once subdued, it can never again dictate your steps. In that moment, you stand free. Visualize the coronation itself. The hall is filled with those who once doubted, those who once challenged, those who once ignored. You walk forward, not with arrogance, but with certainty. Each step echoes like a drumbeat of inevitability. The crown is placed upon your head, not by others, but by your own hand. Authority is no longer something you chase. It is something you embody. The aura of untouchability forms around you. Attacks glance off, distractions dissolve, respect anchors itself. You are no longer in training, you are sovereign. This is the cost and the reward. Fail to integrate, and you are condemned to scramble forever, reacting, defending, explaining. Succeed, and you move through the world with a crown invisible but undeniable. People adjust to you. Rivals avoid reckless challenge. Allies draw strength from your steadiness. The world senses the transformation and treats you accordingly. Remember, coronation is not one day, it is every day. Each morning, you must crown yourself again, renewing the ritual, wearing the mask, feeding the wolf, sharpening the steel. Authority is sustained by discipline, not by ceremony. The crown remains only as long as you uphold the throne within. Now step forward. Own the silence, command the room, and wear the crown without apology. This is your coronation, the moment when all preparation fuses into presence. Walk as if no one can deny it, because authority lives in those who no longer wait for permission. Crown yourself, or be ruled. Authority begins where self-mastery is proven. History has shown that rulers who could not command themselves eventually lost command of others. Marcus Aurelius disciplined his own impulses daily before leading Rome. Machiavelli advised that fortune bends to those who act with boldness, not hesitation. The foundation of power, whether in the palace or in the modern world, is the same. Control yourself first, and the world will respond with respect. You have walked through the principles that build unstoppable authority. You learned to claim the throne of your mind, to conquer mornings like battlefields, to wield silence as a weapon, and to cut away weak ties. You discovered the mask of command, the assassin within, the wolf of dominance, the chessboard of foresight, the ritual of steel, and the aura of untouchability. Each was a chamber in your fortress. Each was a weapon added to your armory. Together they form the crown of authority. But a crown unclaimed is nothing more than an ornament. It must be worn daily. Now is the moment for immediate action. Do not wait for grand ceremonies. Choose one ritual today. Practice digital silence by refusing to let the noise of others invade your mind before your strategy is set. Command the morning with deliberate routine, placing your flag on the day before the world stirs. Don the mask of command, adjusting posture, voice, and presence until respect follows you into every room. Authority is not abstract. It is built from daily acts that declare, again and again, that you rule yourself. Consider a small moment of resistance. A colleague dismisses your point with impatience. Without discipline, you either retreat or lash out. With mastery, you remain steady. Weak. I just wanted to add something. Strong. This perspective is vital to achieving the outcome. Calm strength shifts the room. Others see authority not in aggression, but in your refusal to bend under pressure. These are the moments where sovereignty proves itself. Picture yourself leaving your fortress. Behind you lie the halls of silence, steel, and foresight. Before you lies the open world, filled with noise, rumor, and rivalry. But you march out carrying your banner of reputation high. Attacks glance off. Distractions scatter, and those who once doubted fall into step. You do not shout your power, you walk in it. The crown you place on your head each morning is invisible but undeniable. Others feel it long before they understand it. This is the call. Begin today. Choose one act of discipline and make it non-negotiable. Build authority not once, but daily, until fear and respect follow you without effort. Command the self, and the world has no choice but to recognize the sovereign before it. Rule yourself, and you rule all.